If you've just come from my review of Loki, Season 2, welcome back. If you've just skipped straight to this, welcome. So let's get on with it. The Marvels. It's fair to say, during Phase 4 and Phase 5, the quality of the MCU has declined. We've had our successes in Shang-Chi, No Way Home, Wakanda Forever, Volume 3, What If, and Loki. We've had stuff that's generally, well, it's not perfect, but it's still relatively enjoyed by most people, like WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Black Widow has its fans, as Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder 2 still is relatively liked by most people, as is Miss Marvel, which yeah, even though I had my problems with the first 3 episodes, I still the second half was still great. And then we get to the ones that fans and critics are very critical of and are fairly very mediocre, like Eternals and She-Hulk and Quantumania and Secret Invasion. And fair to say, the way I'm talking, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen with the reviews of this, the Marvels falls into the disappointing category. Mediocre, critical. You don't hate this. I don't. It's not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing that's come out. But the choices and decisions are probably some of the worst in the MCU as of late. With one main issue, which I'll get to. We'll get to that towards the end. Okay, let's get on with the plot. Taking place after the events of Miss Marvel, we see a mysterious wormhole and jump point has fractured space. So, after being tipped off by Nick Fury, Carol Danvers investigates it on a nearby planet, as does Monica Rambeau, who we remember last saw in WandaVision, investigating it on the other end. When the two of them touch it, it causes them to switch places with each other, along with Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel. This is due to the fact, after eventually meeting up all three together, they eventually realize that this is due to the fact that a Kree warrior was responsible for fracturing space with that jump point, who apparently has discovered the second bangle that Kamala Khan owns. This also is due to the fact that Kamala, Carol, and Monica all have light-based powers. The three of them are able to switch together whenever they activate them. Yeah, I can accept that. Determining that this Kree warrior could pose a threat to the galaxy, the three of them agreed to team up and take her down, all while all the while, trying to control their powers and they're swapping and work together as a team. Along the way, we obviously see returning characters, ever so briefly. We see new plot threads left behind by the Marvels and Secret Invasion, briefly. And we go into why the villain's doing what she's doing whenever she's on screen. Alright. let's get the good stuff over the way, because I will say there is some good things, and you can admire them. I think first off, it's worth mentioning that one thing that is praised is the chemistry between Carol, Monica, and Kamala, which, seeing that all three of these characters are interacting for the first time, with Carol and Monica being the first time interacting as adults, it's actually pretty well done. They do share some good chemistry, and it's fair to say that Brie Larson, Gianna Paris, and Mania Villani all had a good time working together. And I will say this: the performance is also pretty good. Brie Larson, I think, has made a massive improvement since the first Captain Marvel movie. Which, to be fair, when I reviewed that in 2019, I probably was a bit too, you know, supportive at the time. Nowadays, I do see more of the faults, especially with Brie Larson's performance in that. So I will give credit. I think the director of this film did a lot better job than the co-directors of the first Captain Marvel. Um, I like. I will give credit also. I'm glad this takes place mainly in outer space. I don't know. I like it when one of the things I like about MCU products is, shall I say, is when they actually take place outside of Earth or outside of America. So I'm grateful when they do stuff like that. I'm okay whether they. I'm okay if they travel around the world a bit, like some stuff, like say in Age of Ultron and or even Eternals when they travel around, or if they deal with some or far from home. But I also like it when when we see them even go and say cross the multiverse to other realities, bring stuff that would mean certain characters from other sort of realities, which is why I thought it was one of the best things, which I was okay with for No Way Home, and also going to outer space. So I'm glad that this takes place mostly in space, and the only times we are in America is mostly with Kamala and her family at the start, and a few flashbacks. We'll get to that. And I will say, the concept of this story is actually not too bad. You have Kamala, Carol, and Monica trying to all swapping places with each other across the universe after their powers become interlinked with each other due to a villain's uh, interactions. Uh, you know, you know the well, what she does. I think that's a good idea, and obviously they have to stay together to prevent themselves from causing potential problems in the they have to stick together, or otherwise, if they were across the universe, they could cause issues, and the bad guys could probably the villains could probably succeed, which is a good idea. I like that and having Nick Fury being the only one to that they contact at the very least is not too bad as well. But with that said, that is the main premise, concept. It's not really the full thing. All right. Um, this plot gets sidetracked. This movie gets sidetracked a lot, and I mean it. And a lot of those sidetracks either are completely pointless or are very underdeveloped. Jeez. Okay, let's start off with the villain's main plot. We learn that after the events of Captain Marvel, Carol basically got her revenge on the Kree Empire for kidnapping her and brainwashing her, and this Kree warrior wants to revive Hala to its former glory after Carol got her uh, took out her revenge on the artificial intelligence that controlled her. Okay, we learn that apparently this is because of the fact when Carol destroyed her, took out, launched her all out her personal war, the sun and the this has caused the Kree planet to shut down. The sunlight is gone. There's no water. Oh, there's no breathable air. Okay, that's good enough premise for the villain to want to go after her. All right, there's that one. And she decides her plan is to get revenge on Carol by attacking all planets or races of people that are directly connected to her. Okay, but here's the other. But here's the. However, there's a lot of issues with that because we don't get to see when we dive into these different planets, excluding one, which is obviously we know from WandaVision that Monica has some, you know, discrepancies with Carol because she never came back after the events of Captain Marvel, and we find out it's because she was ashamed of herself because of what she did for the war. Okay, and we eventually learn that she did, which I was actually grateful that they did actually include, was that she did apparently say goodbye to Maria Rambeau before she died of cancer off screen during the 5 years of the blip. Okay, I'm fine with that. Don't know why Goose the Flerken was with Maria instead of Nick Fury, but I guess Goose didn't show up at any point in the other MCU products. So okay, maybe he left her with him with her. I don't know. And then Carol gets her Goose back. All right, fair. Um, but then we also learn a bit more about some other stuff, like apparently during the events, sometime I think during the aftermath of the snap, Carol got married to a planetary ruler. Okay, all right, fair enough. But do we get to hear more about it? Not really. We also, um, I am, we see a bit of Nick Fury that's working at Saber, his new space station. All right, not much is delved into that. You get um, to say we see the scrolls on a new planet, about to make a deal with the Kree as part of the peace talks, briefly referenced at the end of Secret Invasion. Uh, just Carol intrudes on it, ruins everything. All right, well, how far was it coming? Where's Fury's wife and all this? Valkyrie shows up to give the scrolls a bit of a safe haven on Earth. Wait a second. What happened? What happened? Didn't he? Isn't this supposed to take place after a secret invasion? So, or is this beforehand? All right. But why is Valkyrie doing it? Not doing this? There's problems with that. And we also see. You know, I don't really know what Kamala's main goal is, other than to work for the first time with other superheroes. Okay. There's a few of there's jumping back and forth between things. But there's barely any resistance from the villains, and the action we get is very bland. And I can't cope. There's just so much stuff going on with it, and it's not filtered right. It's not. It's just jumbled. The main reason being, this is only an hour. This movie only goes for an hour 40. And look, sometimes this can work. I thought Ant-Man and the Wasp worked pretty well if it's shorter length than most Marvel films. That was fine. I even think the Super Mario Brothers movie worked perfectly fine, even though my brother was very critical. Thought it should have had an extra 10 minutes. This is where I think you need an extra 10 minutes. This is just the shortness really hurts. The movie time of this film hurts this a lot. Outside of the explanation with Maria Rambeau, none of none of the story factors or things they add in they just fall flat, and you forget it. Like they they're underdeveloped. My goodness, like, and that's not getting into the villain herself. She is so bland. I I could yeah, I remembered her plot, which to be fair, but I think she's even worse than Malekith. Honestly, I don't know why she's barely in this film at all. You don't understand. There's no real personality with her. She's just yes, she wants revenge on Carol Danvers, but you don't get any more of that. Like really, even when she discovers her Bangles connection to Kamala's, like, all right, and the way she's defeated is bland, and the action scenes, the climax is stupid. Other than one thing, other when they use the free Marvels use their powers to to protect their to stop the damage. I don't get it. Like, oh, whatever. Even Carol, admitting her mistake feels very rushed and all that. Like, I don't get it. Why is this this is an easy enough film to add an extra 10 minutes. So why? Yeah, that's the biggest issue with this. It's the shortness of how short this film is. It needed an extra 10 minutes. Probably even an extra 15. My goodness. I've already gone off how I thought about the villain and all that. That's one thing. And again, we see certain characters like the scrolls appearing briefly at the beginning, but they run off. With Valkyrie, who shows up only for a couple of seconds. Um, yeah, there's a few other things. Some of the villain's henchmen, and uh, yeah. So there's that. Um, there are certain things that were put in this film at the end, which okay, you can just tell it that they're just setting up for the future. Like, okay, Kamala's now here. Maybe we can now start talking about spoiler alert, but with all the young superheroes now, let's start teasing the young Avengers. Okay, whatever. I don't know why she's acting like Nick Fury for a moment. And uh, and obviously there is a setup to um, the multiverse main premise of the multiverse saga, and you know, given we know that Kamala's a mutant, there is a connection to the X-Men. Not exactly saying how, although I will say it, considering this actor's most popular character he's ever played in television has just got a series revival. It's good to see him back as his um X-Men equivalent. Just to say, I did like that. Um, yeah, so yeah, they're set up towards that. Although again, I brought this up with Loki before. Uh, what I what I thought about that was the way these two things work, the ending of Loki and this post-credit scene in the Marvels, it's given me more issues as to how we're going to get the characters who know about the multiverse and the potential, you know, issue to come with Kang. How majority of them we don't know their whereabouts, or officially set as dead because hold up a sec, I got it right here. The recent release of the Marvel Studios, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, an official timeline, which I have read and I'm still going through it, pretty good. Um, it's now addressed that Wanda is now officially dead, so it's no more Scarlet Witch. Who knows what Agatha, Covenant of Chaos will say next year. Spider-Man, no one knows Peter Parker anymore, so it's going to be interesting whether who's going to get in contact with him. We know that Doctor Strange is hopping between realities, so where we don't know where he will currently be. Um, we know where Ant-Man, the Wasp, and the Pym family and Stature are okay, and who knows? With Young Adventures now being teased, they're probably going to bring that into it. And now this character is, I'm not going to say what's happened and what's happened to her, but as I say, multiverse, I think you can kind of guess what's really happened, what has happened to this character at the end. And Loki is also still hasn't, this variant of Loki hasn't interacted with any of the main variants of the main timeline. So when are we going to see that happen? How are they going to set, when are we going to see one of these characters who know about the multiverse, know about what's coming, interact and warn the other heroes of the main timeline? I'm just waiting for that. Come on. I should also bring up the whole Brad Wolf thing in Loki. I want to know where he went after that. Um, I kind of get the same thing with Captain Marvel at the end of this movie as well, and And the scrolls. What happens? Seriously? Come on. And and then there's the planet where we find where the water planet where we meet when we find out that Carol Dan we find out that Carol Danvers got married. Okay, all right, fair enough. Tell me, I'm okay with that. You'll explain what she has done in the events after the snap. Okay, I'm good with that. But oh my gosh, this whole planet, it is so cringeworthy. I cringed so much when I watched this in theaters, and I was in the 12s, the 32-seater gold cinema, at so yeah, so the smaller one with the big screen, and being able to eat, you know, order order food while you're eating. Okay, which I didn't do. But the whole time I watched that, I was like, "Oh." If I was in the thing watching this on the big screen for in a 100-seat cinema with a whole bunch of people, I would have probably just gone. I was probably gonna go. I probably would have, you know, I would have probably heard a lot of screaming at that. I was just, yeah. The thing is, though, with this, when she first arrives and we learn and how they communicate and the even I don't think it's not cringeworthy bad like the Megan Thee Stallion twerk at the end of at that episode of She-Hulk, but I think the filmmakers of this saw um that specific joke in the Hawkeye series, which okay, not too bad. Good way to set up why Clint's back in New York. All right, but yeah, this is just cringeworthy stupid. Ugh. That should not be in an MC in a comic book movie, an MCU film. It's something you'd see in a Mel Brooks parody. And I love Mel Brooks comedies. I do. That. That would make so much sense in something like that, like something you'd see in something like Spaceballs or Robin Hood Men in Tights or Blazing Saddles, any one of his classic you know parody films, but not in this. Maybe if Mel actually, I kind of wish Mel Brooks showed up in that scene. It would have made things a little bit better for me. I'm just saying. But yeah, what more can I go on with? Oh gosh, I can't say any more about this. Whew. Yeah, I feel exhausted just talking about that. This whole thing. Uh, I think this is probably the worst MCU movie in a very long time, in my view. Probably worse than Eternals. Uh, I don't hate it. I don't hate it like say I hate stuff like I hated Secret Invasion, which I which I think I was a lot more, which I still kind of hate a bit more actually. And how I hate stuff like the first three episodes of Miss Marvel and I felt different to the first three episodes of Miss Marvel, so I'll scrap that. But how I hated those three She-Hulk episodes, and yeah, so I'm hearing this is going to probably be the first box office bomb of the MCU. Not counting, I think, Black Widow because that was impacted by the pandemic. Yeah. But so it will be interesting. Uh, the funny thing is, it's just it's got a 62% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and a lot of people are still are very, split on this. I'm not sure why this is getting that and not a 52, a fit in the 50 range. Maybe it will go down later. I don't know. But I, I, I'll just give it a score. 4.7 out of 10 stars. Yep. I'm doing the exact same thing I did with Eternals, I think, with my scoring of this and a bunch of other things I've done. But yeah, I am just I'm just exhausted while thinking about this. Oh boy. I don't know how if there are people who think that it's hard for the MCU to come back after this, uh I'm not saying they can't. There's still every chance they can. They just can't do anything. They just gotta take their time and you know you know accept the problems of their failures of these last couple of projects over the last 3 years and work out to cut out the ridiculous parts and focus on the things that people actually do enjoy. Because experimentation can work, but it also can drastically hit you in the face. I think, and I think also now, I think for them, they also need to hope they don't go for any major delays, because that's I think what's also hurt them with the delays from the pandemic when they first in 2020 and 2021. Now with everything that now that the writers and actors strike is completed, is now over. They need to just take their time now, rediscover their form, and correct all of the problems that plagued them over these last 3 years. The fact that they've scat with the recent fact that I think with the recent delays, I think they have sort of seen that. I don't know how next year with the likes of Echo, Agatha, Ironheart, and potentially I'm not sure about Daredevil go. But the fact that next year they're only doing Deadpool, that they're only releasing Deadpool 3 in theaters now at this stage, I think at least shows them that they want to try and that they need to take a break from making multiple releases just so they can fully focus on just so they can take out all the problems and make some better products. So, but yeah, we can only wait and see. We don't know what, and we can only and I think for them they just gotta hope enough they don't go for any major delays over specific events. So, House of Promoter Reviews is out, and I'll see you next time. And as for the future, I just hope that in July, I think next year, Deadpool comes up and with his own sword slices this film to in half. Ciao.